When you give the bully your lunch money, he's not satisfied. He is always coming back hungrier. And that has been the theme of Donald Trump's administration. CEO after CEO, business leaders, institutions, law firms, it doesn't matter who or what, they are always bending the knee to Donald Trump. And it never stops there, except for today, when it has stopped, when Trump has been thwarted, when his plans are blowing up in his face because Jimmy Kimmel has a surprise announcement for Donald Trump that will end this culture of capitulation and blow up his term. It is breaking news that I can't wait to get into, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get to the big Kimmel announcement that is making Donald Trump furious, I want to start with the threat from Eric Swalwell that helped get us there, and it starts right here.
And Jimmy Kimmel had a right to say what he said, which didn't in any way suggest that somebody in the MAGA world had been responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. He was just pointing out what folks online were doing as Twitter detectives before any investigation had been completed were saying about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And then he pointed out that Donald Trump, who did not go to Kirk's memorial service at the Kennedy Center over the weekend, when he was asked how he was feeling about the assassination, did not address it, but rather went right to a construction project. And for that, Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air. That's not who we are. That's what it looks like in China. That's what it looks like in Russia. That can't be what it looks like in America. And the foundation of this, the genesis of this, was the president's FCC chairperson, Brandon Carr, sending a tweet that said, essentially, and giving an interview to a podcaster where he said, essentially, if ABC doesn't want to do this the easy way and suspend Jimmy Kimmel, we will do it the hard way, and it would be government censorship. Maybe I was not loud enough in the past when Republicans spoke out against government censorship, and if that's the case, I will go back and revisit whether I could have been louder. But that does not mean that today Republicans are silent just in an effort to own the libs. If you didn't like cancel culture when you thought it was happening in prior administrations, you certainly can't look at what just happened in our country and accept that that is something we should live with and we should tolerate. So I want to make it clear, there's going to be a Democratic majority in just over a year. And to the FCC chairperson and anyone involved in these dirty deals, get a lawyer and save your records, because you're going to be in this room and you're going to be answering questions about the deals that you struck and who benefited and what the cost was to the American people because that happened.
This is the only language that MAGA understands. You have to intimidate them. You have to lay out the terms of this fight very clearly, and you have to scare them into place. This is a group of people who have been bending the knee to a reality TV show host for a decade now. So if we want them to fall in line, if we want them to listen, you better do so with intimidation. That is the only language that they understand. Good on Eric Swalwell for letting them know, we are coming after you with lawsuits, with investigations. There will be hell to pay. And the worst payback right now, of course, is living well, which is what Jimmy Kimmel is doing in this new announcement. Breaking statement on Jimmy Kimmel live from the Walt Disney Company. The Walt Disney Company issued the following statement today. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflammation of a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversation with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. Jimmy Kimmel's show is back. But what is more important than that, and that's important, is that for the first time in Donald Trump's presidency, someone has stared him down and said no. Now, of course, it was after a chicken shit moment from Bob Iger bending the knee to Donald Trump, but do you know what? Pick yourself up off the ground, Bobby. Tell Donald Trump, you're not going to tell us what to do. You're not going to instruct our operation. You are not going to have the state-run media that you so desire, that you're jealous of when you look at Putin or Orban. No, that's not what you get. We still have our First Amendment, no matter what excuse you want to use to try to strip it away, to elevate Charlie Kirk to be some civil rights hero, when the real civil rights heroes of our country were people Charlie Kirk openly hated, attacked, and mocked. That bigoted fuck. Sorry, language. But this is how we should be approaching this conversation, like Jasmine Crockett did right here.
This particular president has decided that he wants to shake down people as it relates to the First Amendment, because he has filed not one lawsuit, not two lawsuits, but he has filed numerous lawsuits. He filed a lawsuit against the New York Times. He filed one against the Wall Street Journal, against CBS, against ABC, against the Des Moines Register. He is doing all of this because he wants to quash any speech that is not appreciative or lauding him, which is pretty much anything that's factual. So let's talk a few facts about these January 6 felons that should still be incarcerated because they went through the process, but because they were doing things on his behalf, of course, he wanted to let them go. So they released more than 1,000 people who participated in the insurrection on this government, many of whom had previous criminal records, like Mr. Theodore Mendenforth, who was convicted of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child, or Mr. Peter Schwartz, who had 38 prior convictions, including one where he beat his wife by repeatedly punching and biting her. Trump also pardoned Mr. David Daniel, who was convicted of production and possession of child pornography. Trump also pardoned Mr. Daniel Ball, who, quote, threw an explosive device that detonated upon at least 25 officers during the Capitol riot. He also had a record for, quote, domestic violence by strangulation. I'm not done. Trump also pardoned Mr. Andrew Taki, who sent nudes to an undercover law enforcement officer who was posing as a 15-year-old girl. Mr. Casey Hopkins also received a pardon from Trump, and Mr. Hopkins was convicted of forcible rape. According to court records, he, quote, had forcible intercourse with the victim, choked her to the point of impairing her vision, banged her head into a wall, and urinated into the victim's mouth as he humiliated her. These are the people that he decided to release in the streets of D.C. So if anybody does need to clean up D.C., I would agree it is this man, because he is the one that is causing half the crime that we have. Not only is he participating in the crime, but we know that he instigated the insurrection. And if I did say that I had one issue with the Biden-Harris administration, it is the fact that they did not move forward and make sure that this man was put where he should have been put. Because the last time I checked, as a criminal defense attorney, and Mr. Attorney General, you may have a different experience, but I never had a defendant that had 34 convictions for felonies and did not spend one day in jail. Never in my life. And the last time I checked, the party of law and order is the only one that decided that they would be out of order and decided to nominate someone who was not only indicted but was actually convicted of multiple felonies. That has never happened in this country, and it is a shame that we are dealing with it now, and now he wants to tell y'all how to do your jobs.
Okay.
Let's not mince words. Donald Trump has been in an all-out attack on free speech from the beginning of his administration. And I think it's really important for us to examine the way he's carried this out. The first step that Donald Trump took was a little hokey. It was the Gulf of America. And if you didn't say Gulf of America, if you weren't printing those words, Donald Trump didn't want you in the press pool. That's what he did to the AP. And it seemed ridiculous, but that was part of the point. If it was ridiculous, it would seem stupid, and we'd move on. And we did move on. The media moved on. Instead of fighting back, instead of making every question to Carolyn Leavitt at the beginning of that administration about their suppression of speech, they simply picked up and found a new topic. What did Donald Trump do next? Oh, Paramount, you want your merger to go through? We're going to need you to cancel Stephen Colbert's show. Outright, one singular decision, can't go back from it, done. Now, of course, it is very similar to what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. Of course, now his show is back. But what Donald Trump was asking from ABC, what Donald Trump was asking from Disney, was to capitulate. It was not a trade-off, right? That's what's different about Colbert. Colbert was a one quick false swoop, one move, tear off that Band-Aid, and you can have your merger. And it was an exchange. What Donald Trump and the FCC wanted out of Jimmy Kimmel was for him to capitulate, to make his show a monument to Donald Trump and his ability to quell dissent. That's what they wanted. But what I assume, what I'm guessing, is that this is ABC and this is Jimmy Kimmel saying, fuck you, I will do whatever I want, I will say whatever I want. They saw our backlash. They saw their stock price drop. What did they lose? $3.5–4 billion in market cap because we used our voices? We dictate the market, not Donald Trump. This entire administration has been a man who cries communism, putting his thumb on the scale, and then covering up his hand as he does so you don't see his bruises, but of every market. The stock market, the job market, it's not gone so well with that last one. But the market of ideas, of speech, who's allowed to say what, Donald Trump has decided that he gets to be in control. But that's not how this is supposed to work. We decide what we want on air. We decide which hosts have the talent. And quite frankly, Jimmy Kimmel, you've got so much talent. We love talent. That is in the alternate universe in which, I don't know, I don't want Donald Trump to be a better, like a Democratic president in an alternate universe. I was like the one in which Trump is like, maybe we don't even have to think about Trump. I don't know what universe I'm imagining up where there is a Trump still. Maybe we don't have that one. But that's what he thought he could do. That he could tell us what we can and cannot consume. That did not happen today. We struck down that idea. And that is a major blow to Donald Trump's ability to intimidate others. If we show that we are more powerful than this administration, and mind you, we are, do you know how much this guy loses in court? All the time. All the time. He doesn't talk about it, of course, but he loses so much. Let's highlight that. Let's talk about that. Let's have a little party. Some champagne going. We are in the driver's seat. We can fight back. Now, we don't do it with strongly worded letters. That doesn't work. But these boycotts, making them feel it in their pockets, being loud with our voices, yeah, that's going to work. And it just did. This is an example. This is a turning point. This is an opportunity for the Democratic Party to reset a little bit. I don't know why it took Jimmy Kimmel. Love you, Jimmy, but I think maybe we've had some more important shit happen, even though all of these things matter. But let's use this as an opportunity to move forward, show that we've got some fight, actually commit to it. This is great. I'm excited. I'm going to be tuning in Tuesday. That monologue, you know what the monologue was supposed to be about the night that he got canceled? Guess. Write in the comments. What do you think? I'm sure you are correct because you likely wrote the Epstein files. Yes, it was supposed to be about Epstein. And I hope there's a lot of mentions. A lot. We're going to be looking forward to it. We're going to be covering it. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. You can also subscribe right here to my Substack, where we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff. Becoming a free or paid subscriber, one of the best ways to support the show. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.